All right, welcome back to the Creation MD podcast. I am glad you're here. I'm your host, 401 Jake, and Dr. Richard Hopkins is with me as well. We're still continuing on our quest to really dive into advisors and fees and make sure you understand all the different nuances so that you can make good decisions. We're still talking about the 401k today. So again, quick review. There's 4 people getting paid in your 401k. Your advisor, your TPA or third-party administrator, that's our topic today, and then the record keeper and the funds themselves. So TPA, third-party administrator, this is probably the most critical component to setting up your plan design correctly. And when I say plan design, a lot of people will go pause, like, what does that mean, plan design? You can't just buy a 401k and set it up. No, 401ks change and they're very different. A 401k for a small practice with a couple of doctors or a couple dentists and a few staff is very different from a hospital. So the designs are completely different. But there are regulations and rules that we have to follow with the IRS and the Department of Labor. And this is where the TPA comes in. They help you design your plan so that you can be the most effective at achieving the goals of the plan. Now, one way that I've explained this to physicians and dentists is really just to cover how much they want to put in the plan. We kind of start with that question. How much extra cash would you like to defer from paying taxes on right now? And there's really 3 levels. $19,500, which is level 1. That's really done with a safe harbor plan. And we'll do a whole episode on safe harbor. Then there's a second level of $57,000. And then the third level is all the way up above $300,000 depending on your age. So knowing what you want to do as far as how much money to put away is really where the TPA comes in designing the plan. Now, a 401k is really essentially just a trust document with trustees. So those are going to be the named people that are responsible for the 401k. So sometimes this changes year to year. Depends on how your practice is set up. Maybe there's a committee one year, maybe it's all of the owners, maybe it's just the board members. Very different. But we have trustees and the beneficiaries are everybody that's participating in the plan. And there's a lot of rules around how people can get in the plan, how long they have to stay with the company to get their money that you are promising them from the plan. So your TPA will really help design the best way and add the best features to accomplish the goals that are necessary behind your 401k. So what I do want to throw out there is making sure that your TPA and your advisor are always working together hand in hand. They really should be a team. There shouldn't be different conversations going on separately with the TPA versus the advisor. Your advisor's there to make sure that they're doing their job, and the TPA is definitely going to need some help with that advisor to put all the other partners in place. So that being said, I want to bring Richard in because he's gone through this from the plan or the practice side of things, where he's worked with the TPA. He's been through this process with his own practice. And some practices, the TPA is really the only partner. Sometimes you can get away, depending on the size, without even having a platform or what we call a record keeper. And the TPA is really critical there because you have to have this component to really set up the plan. So Richard, tell us a little about your experience working with TPAs, what to look out for, and what next steps do you need to take if you either you need to set up a new plan or you have an existing plan. What should you check on?
Yeah, Jake, the first thing that I'd like to echo that you said was that you need to have the advisor as your first helper. He's the one that needs to be, or she, are the ones that need to be the go-between between your TPA and you. So many forget the advisor, and the TPA is someone that is not necessarily an overall administrator, but someone that's looking out for the governmental side. They're the ones that are going to write the plans so that they conduct well with taxes, with laws, things like that. And these laws and that both the tax laws change. I mean, the numbers you quoted are for 2020. Those are going to change in 2021, Jake. So we're going to have to redo this podcast.
They're always going up. Yep.
Everything's changing every year. And so your TPA is an important thing. I personally have also had to pay a penalty because we added a cash balance plan, and the rules change once you add a cash balance plan with high amounts of money that you're putting in to your retirement. You can't put quite as much into your 401k. And so we overfunded a 401k one year. And so we have to stay close. The TPA has to be somebody that both you and your advisor feel like you can call and discuss things with, because these laws change enough that you want to make sure that you're on top of them.
Yeah, and that's where the strategy comes into play. A lot like doing your taxes. Yeah, you can have an accountant or a CPA do your taxes, but there's a very different experience when you have someone that's proactive and strategic behind, oh, wow, you should have done this, and then we could have saved this. That's what the TPA, you need a good TPA that understands your industry, so knows what you can try and do, not just file the right forms and keep the Department of Labor and IRS happy. You want them to help you achieve the goals of either retaining good, talented staff, or most likely in the physician space, save on taxes. That's usually the number one goal. And that's the best way we can kind of save taxes for a lot of physicians, because you can't do other strategies as easily with the income you earn.
Well, Jake, I think that there are two other players coming up, the record keeper and the funds, right? We're still got to pay them.
Yep.
So let's do another cast on that.
We're going to keep it going. So next step for you, make sure you understand who your TPA is. So if you haven't set up a plan, go through that process of asking the questions. How do you work with us? What questions are you going to go through with us each year? How are we going to communicate when problems come up or when we hire more people? And know what you're paying them. Little quick tidbit on the cost. Most TPAs are very close on cost. They're usually a flat dollar cost of anywhere from a couple $1,000s to a few $1,000s above that, and a per head fee. So when you really do a comparison, don't just look at the cheapest one. You got to go more deeper than that, because you could be spending a couple $100 less and get somebody that doesn't answer the phone. So I've seen a huge value with finding the right TPA, and it's not really based on cost. It's based on the service and the expertise of the team behind the TPA. Okay, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe, and we're going to keep diving more into these advisors and fees. It's going to help you make sure keep more money in your pocket and find more Eucrasia.